All right, Mitch. So you mentioned you want to see Evil Dead Rise. So where are you? Groovy.
Hi, friends. I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are Excellent Little Podcasts.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch on a new camera.
On a new camera. Mitch, I think we're doing a podcast, and I think we have some new lighting, too.
We do have some new lighting. Yeah.
Who would have thought?
And we're doing a very scary...
Scary because we're a week late on it, but It's okay. We are reviewing Evil Dead Rise.
Evil Dead Rise, the fifth film in the Evil Dead franchise, but more like the sixth multimedia thingamajig.
Yeah.
Not counting the video game, because you also had the Ash versus Evil Dead series. So, all right. So, summary time.
Yeah.
A twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. That was weird.
Yeah.
And creepy, but I loved it. All right, studio brought to you by Warner Brothers Discovery, directed by Lee Cronin, and written by Lee Cronin. So that was easy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Zach, would you mind, for the new viewers, why don't you tell them about this way of reviewing that we do?
Absolutely, my friend. So, for those that are new here, welcome. We split this episodes up into 3 different sections. We start with our non-spoiler section where we talk about actors, directors, first thoughts, anything non-spoilery. Then we move on to our review, which Mitch will gladly show how we do our reviews here. And then we'll go into our spoiler section, which will be nice and bloody.
Bloody.
Juicy. Moist.
Zach, we're not
Lovely.
We don't want to do what happened with Renfield. Okay,
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, so we are now in our non-spoiler section. I almost jumped ahead. All right, so Zach.
Yeah.
May I give my thoughts?
Absolutely. I would love to hear your first thoughts on this movie.
So I enjoyed this film. I was also a fan of the original trilogy with Ash Williams, Bruce Campbell, because, Bruce Campbell is one of the most charming actors of that 80s and 90s generation.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked Army of Darkness, the third one. It was so good. And the Evil Dead franchise really brought this kind of comedic tone to the horror, because at the time, you had Friday the 13th, you had Nightmare on Elm Street, you had the Halloween franchise, which was just nothing but scary, and then you add this like horror comedy-esque to it, and like it was like a mix of like Ash Williams, Bruce Campbell, and Sam Raimi, because that was Sam Raimi's start.
Yeah, that.
Then you had the Evil Dead reboot back in 2013, which they tried to add more horror, whereas it didn't really work for me. This one, it had a really weird balance. Like they tried to do a little too much horror. They tried to add even more gore, and there's a lot of gore.
Oh, yeah.
But there wasn't enough Evil Dead camp. Yeah, we talked about that, but a lot of more stuff we'll have to wait for the spoilers. But I enjoyed this movie, I think, a little bit more than you did, because it still had that Evil Dead touch, just a little, but not much. But Zach, why don't you go ahead?
If I was grading this just as a horror movie and I was a horror fan and this didn't have the Evil Dead stamp on it, I would say that this was a pretty good horror movie. But if you compare it to Evil Dead, then that's where it kind of starts missing the mark.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of hit a lot of the stuff there, but the Evil Deadness is kind of missing on this one.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and talk about the cast performances. Maybe they can go ahead and salvage something in this. What did you think about Lily Sullivan's Aunt Beth?
I really enjoyed her. It's hard to do like straight acting in a horror film, because it's just it's just gonna be jump scares. You're gonna have blood. You're gonna do a lot of weird stuff. But I thought she did really well for what was given.
Yeah.
Because The screenplay's not the best. I will say that because it's so condensed. But that's also part of Evil Dead. Like the stories are so condensed and they're set in one specific area. The original was set in like a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
This is not set in a cabin in the woods. The trailer kind of gives that away.
Yeah.
But it's still like a condensed setting. And you can't really do much with that as an actor, but she did it so well. And I was just like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, she's really feeling this claustrophobic element of this film. But what did you think of it?
I thought Lily Sullivan did actually a really good job. I thought she brought a lot of humanity to it. It was really, really just a nice straight woman for a normal horror film.
Okay, I will give you that too. So we would agree on that. But I really enjoyed Alyssa Sutherland as Ellie, the mom. She was good. I really enjoyed her.
She isn't my all-time favorite possessed of an Evil Dead possessed person, but she definitely has the essence of the Evil Deadness kind of inside the performance, and you see it just have a little bit more of a darker, more hunting side of it on this one, which I really enjoy that she tried to tap and dig into that, which was really, really good.
Well, also they kind of tapped into like what happens when
it's a mother.
Yeah, when it's a mom.
Well, and that was another thing too. I like that it was more focused on a family aspect for this one, as opposed to friends at a cabin. This was not only just not set in a cabin, this was set in an apartment. They did a good job of explaining why you can't get out of the apartment. Like the setup was really good. Yeah. The setup getting into it was good. And then once the shenanigans started, you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here it comes.
And then, but
okay.
But there is a lot of...
Let's say what comes a lot is gore in this one.
That's our cast, but now we're talking about the gore. There's a lot.
This is like Quentin Tarantino like level of gore, like almost like
The Shining,
Alfred Hitchcock or not Alfred Hitchcock, Stanley Kubrick doing The Shining. But like there is so much gore in this, more so than a typical Evil Dead, and Evil Dead's known for its gore, but like this is next level, so I will give it that.
But I will also say it didn't really take away from the story, because a lot of gore can take, like the Saw franchise, that can take away from the story way too much. But this one, I don't want to say it developed the story a lot, but it really helped the story out a little bit. There were some bits where I'm like, okay, now it kind of makes sense why there's so much gore.
Sure.
But one thing that there's very little of,
no camp.
Yeah, and there's also
no Campbell,
no Bruce Campbell, the word groovy is not said.
Never said, never spoken, but
we can say it.
We can say it.
Groovy.
We love some groovy. But yeah, no, and that's where I have the biggest issue with this film, is that there's no Evil Dead camp.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the staple of Evil Dead, right?
Yeah, it's very campy.
It's very campy, and it's just not. They just kind of go more the straightforward horror film on this, which kind of kills me on it.
So basically, if you're a horror fan...
If you're a horror fan, you're going to love this. If you're an Evil Dead fan, you're probably going to be disappointed.
All right. So now that we're at that point, so now we just finished our non-spoiler section. So now it's review time. So the way we do it here, we're not a big fan of the number system and the star system. But what we do here, we do something a little different. We put it into categories. We mostly stick to 3 with 2 other phantom ones. So the way we do it is... our negative one, which is we would feed it to a dog, meaning we did not enjoy it at all. We still think you should watch it for your own opinion, but we ourselves did not enjoy the film. And then we have needs to cook a little more, meaning it needed an actor change, a director change, a script change, a producer change, whatever it needed to get to that next category of we ate it up. meaning we enjoyed this film. We definitely recommend that you see it in theaters, but if you can't, definitely see it when it comes to that Max streaming service that's coming. Not HBO Max.
Yeah.
It's going to be Max. All right. So, Zach.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead?
All right. So I'm torn on this one, but I think that this one needs to cook a little more. So the reason why, and I'll just be short about it, because overall as a horror film, it's okay. It's a pretty decent horror film, but because it has that Evil Dead stamp on it and that there's no camp, that really hurt. That really hurt. So the fact that there's no camp, it brought it down a full category for me.
See, I'm also torn on this one. So I have a feeling it's going to be like one day it's going to be this, another day it's going to be that. So I'm going to put it at the very high end of needs to cook a little more as well. And who knows, maybe tomorrow I may say I ate it up. But for me also, it wasn't just that it didn't have camp. I wasn't a big fan of the director's choices as well, Lee Cronin. I'm not sure what he has done lately, but I feel like this movie was also supposed to be a streaming service film. So I get the feeling that this film was rushed to be put in theaters by Warner Brothers Discovery because of everything that's been going on behind closed doors there.
Yeah.
But it did well. It's doing a decent amount at the box office.
It is.
But I also would agree it just needed that camp. And I also felt that it could have been done with a different director.
Gotcha.
I think the screenplay could have needed a little bit polishing.
It could have needed a little more polishing. I agree.
Yeah,
all
right.
right, my friends. Well, if you don't want anything spoiled, thank you so much for joining us. Go ahead and leave a like. Go ahead and type a comment. What is your favorite Evil Dead movie?
Or what did you think of the movie yourself?
We would love to know. Go ahead and subscribe or email us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com or follow us on Twitch or Shorts or TikTok. Anything, really. We'd love to get to know you guys.
Yeah. All right. Now it's spoiler territory. Wah, wah, wah. Spoiler alert.
Ooh, we really throwing it back.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I couldn't think of another alarm, so
It might as well. But hey, we are finally in our spoilers times. I want to talk about one thing that I thought actually this film had a really good idea with, which was using the Necronomicon more. I love the idea that the Necronomicon was actually used as almost like a literary device of like, it starts here, it goes to here, it moves on to this. This is how the curse works.
Yeah, what he's talking about, for those of you that aren't really aware, he's talking about the Book of the Dead, the main book that is used in the Evil Dead franchise.
I really love that they actually used it, because in the other Evil Deads, it's usually used as, oh, this is how you summon it, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
You really don't use it after that.
Well, people have to go and find it. I know in the TV show, like they keep like having to find it and bury it and burn it and whatever. Oh, and this was interesting.
And it also was a new look for it too, with the teeth.
Well, and that's also the thing. It is mentioned that it is one of three volumes.
Yeah.
So it kind of really tells you that the Ash film series and his TV series is set in this same film. He has his book. The reboot from 2013 has their book, and now this has this book. So it kind of begs the question that if this franchise continues, you could see some big crossovers. But now the final form, that was really interesting because it was so weird.
It was cool. It was a Cronenberg, literally. And it kind of evolved from kind of like The Thing almost. It gave me some Thing vibes. But I thought that was kind of cool and a new thing to kind of give like that little chase cam, that as it were. But one thing that I do have to say that I thought really kind of hurt this film was the beginning and the end. Okay. So the beginning, it kind of starts off as a cabin and it's kind of like your stereotypical Evil Dead. And then it cuts to one day earlier. And then you're going, and that's where the one day earlier is the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
And you're going through this movie and you're like, all right,
what's going on?
how does this connect at all with what we saw at the beginning? And you kept on going. And then the last like 2 minutes, you see the girl that was at the beginning that was possessed. And I was like, she slept through it all. She went through it. I was like,
why?
Great. No, that wasn't.
The only reason why they added that scene was because they could have that classic. It's coming and then turn
the classic scene,
like it, because there's always that ending of the Evil Dead. Where
but they did a good job of like the fake out at the beginning.
Yeah, they
like,
did.
Which I thought that was actually a really well done version of the chase. But
yeah, that was good.
Overall, like I preferred the other reboot more than this one, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but all right, my friends, that's Evil Dead Rise. So thank you so much for joining us. So don't forget to leave us a like, comment your favorite Evil Dead, or what'd you think of the film? We would love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that notification bell. Follow us on all of our other social media sites, such as Twitch, TikTok, all that other fun stuff. But until next time,
I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are
a groovy, excellent little podcast.